Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday morning, December the 12th. Yesterday we started talking about the potential for a strong storm system to make its way across the southern states into the Gulf of Mexico region, and then possibly up along the Atlantic seaboard. The GFS model, as of yesterday morning, was really the only model, the big three, that had that storm system moving up along the eastern seaboard. The Canadian model and European model really kind of curiously had the storm system sitting and spinning over the eastern Gulf of Mexico or near or over the peninsula of Florida. Overnight model runs, certainly the Canadian model and the European model, now join the GFS with what looks like a potential big-time storm system along the eastern seaboard late in the weekend, early part of next week. There is no cold air around. However, we have to watch storm systems like this. At least the potential of this kind of a storm system could always kind of draw in its own cold air. Places like upstate New York, interior New England certainly have to watch this kind of a system, even with no cold air at the beginning of a system like this. If it comes to fruition with this kind of a storm system, there certainly could be enough cold air drawn in that snow becomes a possible threat. Again, upstate New York, higher elevations of New England. We're talking early next week time frame. This is the forecast map from the Canadian model for next Monday, midday Monday, December 18th, just to show how things have changed dramatically in the Canadian model and the European model with respect to this storm system coming kind of more on board with the GFS. And I kind of favored the GFS yesterday, which is why I went through the GFS model run for this storm system. This is the Canadian model for midday Monday, and look at the European model. This is for midday Monday as well. Again, both of these are from last night's zero-Z model runs. This just a tremendous pressure grading here associated with this storm system. So not only would it be a major rain producer, but winds would certainly be a problem here, potential problem, potential damaging winds with this kind of a storm system. Again, this is the European model. Now, let's take a look at the GFS model run from last night. We'll use the zero-Z conventional version. Now, let's begin with the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps across North America. And there's a lot of players on the field. Lots of highs, lots of lows, and that will be the general pattern over the next couple of weeks. In other words, a very active pattern and kind of a difficult forecasting pattern because you have so many players on the field here. There may be some slow movers. There may be big-time differences over short areas in North America over the next couple of weeks. So it's certainly an active and interesting weather pattern, something that has to be monitored from day to day. This is beginning the day here on Tuesday, December 12th. Pretty much ridging across the U.S. It's cold, moderately cold in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast, and it will remain basically quiet, moderately cold, and dry over the next few days. Now, we'll move forward here and watch this system right here in the southwestern states. Again, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern. Kind of slides into the southwestern states. This is now the Thursday morning forecast map. Indeed, it could produce some significant snow later this week across places like Colorado and New Mexico. Certainly the northern New Mexico higher elevation areas can get walloped by snow with a pattern like this. This is, again, Thursday. And then that whole system slides across the southern states and ends up as kind of a powerful storm system in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. This is the 500 millibar level we're looking at here by early Sunday morning. So it caused some snow over Colorado and New Mexico, kind of traveled to the south and east, and picked up a lot of moisture over the Gulf of Mexico. And this is the forecast map for early Sunday morning by the zero-Z GFS model run. And then it basically slides to the north and east, and here we go by Monday night. You have a storm system all the way up, certainly as far north as the Carolinas, and likely as far north as just off the mid-Atlantic coastline. This is again, the forecast map for Monday night, and then it kind of turns it a little bit to the north and east. So a southern kind of a storm system here that will impact the southwestern states first, maybe some significant accumulating snow, those Colorado highlands, New Mexico highlands especially. Then it drops south and east into the Gulf of Mexico, and likely after that takes a turn north and east up along the Atlantic seaboard. Now let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies, again using the 0Z GFS model. Run some cold air, colder than normal air across the eastern third of the nation today. It stays moderately cold right through Thursday of this week in places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City. Dry, moderately cold, slightly below normal for this time of year. Now we'll move forward here, and there certainly will be the tendency for some very warm conditions relative to normal up across Canada over the foreseeable future. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, above normal air over Canada can certainly drop south and east and be cold, or even colder than normal across the eastern U.S., so it doesn't guarantee just the fact that you see some well above normal air across Canada certainly doesn't rule out the chance for snow, for example, in the northeastern part of the nation. So that is something to consider over the next couple of weeks. Here we have warmer than normal conditions moving back into the eastern U.S. late this week. We're talking Friday, Saturday time frame. Colder than normal conditions here across the south central states, and that's associated with the storm system that drives to the south and east. This is the Sunday, midday Sunday forecast map. Strong storm system over the Gulf of Mexico that then pushes to the north and east, and here we go by Monday evening. Now, again, no genuine cold air at the beginning of this potential storm system. However, sometimes a storm can become powerful enough here off the eastern seaboard that it can kind of draw in or generate its own cold air. So do not rule out the possibility of snow, a place like upstate New York, interior higher elevation New England, if indeed the storm system rides up along the Atlantic seaboard. Then we'll kind of move quickly through. Now we're well into next week, and a lot of warmer than normal conditions across Canada especially, and into the central part of the U.S. But occasionally we get these cold air shots showing up into the northeastern states, even in an overall warm pattern. We do get some cold shots over the next couple of weeks. That's why I really have to forecast all of these systems on a day-to-day basis here and keep track of everything, because there may just be perfect timing with a storm system and some chilly air in the northeastern states for some snow over the next couple of weeks. But again, big time warmer than normal conditions over Canada. This is now all the way out to the end of next week. We're getting close to Christmas week here, but again, showing some colder than normal conditions kind of reforming over the eastern states here as we get towards Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. This is all the way out to Christmas Eve, a long-term forecast. Still, very mild conditions, above normal conditions here over Canada here by the time we get to near Christmas time, but still some colder than normal air can show up in the northeastern states periodically over the next couple of weeks. Well, now let's walk through the surface forecast maps again. What we're looking at is a possible strong storm system that will travel across the southern states, first hitting the southwestern U.S., maybe some significant accumulating snow, Colorado, New Mexico later this week, and a big-time storm system over the Gulf of Mexico with heavy rain over Florida. Then I would say an increasing possibility that that storm system rides up along the Atlantic seaboard. Now let's move forward here in time. Quiet over the next few days across much of the nation. Here we go. By the time we get to Thursday, some of those higher elevations in northern New Mexico could get 6 to 12 inches of snow out of this storm system as it slides south and east. Ends up over the Gulf of Mexico by the upcoming weekend. Here we go. By Saturday morning over the Gulf of Mexico. This will lead to significant rainfall over Florida, for example. later this weekend into the early part of next week, then the possibility certainly is there that this storm system slides up to the north and east by maybe Sunday night and certainly Monday. Could be some rain and strong winds, mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. This particular GFS model run, it kind of turns it to the north and east at this particular time. I think there is a chance it comes certainly farther to the north, and if that is the case, we'll have to watch for the generation of some cold air across some of those higher elevation locations of the northeastern states. Certainly, initially, there will be no cold air to work with for this potential powerful storm system here along the east coast, but doesn't guarantee that snow will not occur, because again, this kind of a strong storm system can pull in some cold air or generate its own cold air. So very interesting pattern here over the next several days. Again, we'll have to watch for the possibility of a very strong storm system moving into the Gulf of Mexico and then up along the Atlantic seaboard late in the weekend, early next week. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.